I never used to double-check the locks on my doors and windows. Living alone in a small one-bedroom house at the edge of town, I always felt safe. It was a quiet neighborhood, and up until a few weeks ago, I slept soundly every night. But everything changed after a series of unsettling incidents that gradually turned my safe haven into a place of paranoia and fear. It started with the front door. One Tuesday evening, I came home from work to find my front door slightly ajar. I clearly remembered locking it that morning. I even recall the solid click of the deadbolt as I left, yet here it was, open a crack. Nothing else seemed out of place inside, and there were no signs of forced entry. I stood there in the dim evening light, heart beginning to thump, trying to rationalize what I saw. Maybe I didn't pull it shut hard enough, I told myself. Maybe the latch didn't catch. Still, a prickling unease crawled up my neck as I hesitated in the doorway. After that day, I became obsessive about the locks. Every night I made a ritual of checking each window and door, sometimes twice, before going to bed. For a short while, it made me feel secure again. But then I began noticing small changes around the house. Little things seemed off. A coffee mug I was sure I left in the sink ended up on the counter, or a light was on in the morning that I swore I had turned off the night before. These were minor details I could easily dismiss, and I tried to brush them off as my own forgetfulness. Yet deep down, an uneasy feeling was growing that I just couldn't ignore. A few nights later, I was up late reading on the couch. It was past midnight when I felt a sudden chill crawl over my skin. Confused, I got up to find the source. To my alarm, the window in the kitchen was wide open, the thin curtains fluttering in the cold breeze. I never opened that window at night. I stood frozen for a moment, my mind racing. I had locked it before bed. I was sure of it. With trembling hands, I shut and latched it again. That was the moment I knew something was very wrong. Either someone had been in my house, or I was losing my grip on reality, and I knew I wasn't crazy. The next morning, I confided in my best friend Lily about what was happening. She tried to calm me with logical explanations and offered to let me stay at her place for a while. I declined, not wanting to abandon my home, but I promised her I would take extra precautions and call her if anything else strange happened. For the next week or so, nothing unusual happened. I began to relax, hoping that maybe it was over, but that fragile sense of security was shattered the following Friday night when I returned home and immediately noticed something was wrong. There were muddy footprints on the hardwood floor of my hallway, leading from the front door toward the living room. My stomach dropped. It looked like someone had walked right into my home. The prints were of bare feet and still wet, as if made only minutes earlier. A bolt of adrenaline surged through me as I realized the intruder might still be inside. I backed out of the house and onto the porch, and with trembling hands dialed the police. The police arrived quickly and searched the entire house, but whoever had been there was gone. One officer noted that the footprints appeared to come from bare feet. With no other evidence, there wasn't much they could do. They advised me to keep everything locked and call again if anything else happened. I felt helpless as they left. Someone had definitely been in my home, and I had no idea if they would come back. That night, I couldn't bear to stay there alone. I packed a small bag and went to Lily's apartment to sleep. I kept replaying those footprints in my mind, picturing some stranger quietly walking through my home. The violation and uncertainty made me sick with anxiety. The next day, with the sun up, I felt determined not to live in fear. Lily came back with me to my house and helped me fortify the place. We added extra locks on the doors and sticks in the window tracks. We even pulled down the attic hatch and shone a flashlight around the crawl space, but found nothing except dust and cobwebs. By evening, I felt a little more secure. Lily wanted me to stay one more night at her place, but I refused to be driven out of my own home. I thanked her and promised to call her first thing in the morning. That night, I set myself on high alert. Despite my exhaustion, I only drifted into a light sleep. Sometime after midnight, I woke to the sound of a metallic click, the unmistakable sound of a door latch opening. My body went rigid, every muscle tense. Someone was inside my house. I slid silently out of bed, heart pounding. With shaking fingers, I turned the lock on my bedroom door as quietly as possible. Click. Almost immediately, I heard soft footsteps on the floor, approaching my room. I clutched the kitchen knife in one hand and with the other dialed 911, barely breathing as I whispered to the dispatcher that someone was in my house. The footsteps halted right outside my door. Through the thin strip of light under the door, I saw a shadow shift. The doorknob slowly turned and rattled as the intruder tested it. When it didn't open, I heard a low, frustrated hiss. My heart slammed against my ribcage. I was sure they could hear it. Suddenly a heavy thud hit the door, making it shudder. I bit down on my hand to keep from screaming. They were trying to break in. The dispatcher on the phone heard the crash and urged me to stay quiet. Help was on the way. The intruder slammed into the door again. Wood cracked, the frame whining under the force. I pressed myself into the corner, choking back sobs, convinced that any second they would be inside. Just when I felt the door would splinter, a new sound cut through the night. Sirens, wailing and drawing closer by the second. The banging stopped. For a moment there was silence. Then I heard hurried footsteps retreating down the hall and the crash of the front door being flung open. The intruder was fleeing into the darkness. Moments later, police officers poured into my house. I stumbled out of my bedroom, shaking and crying with relief as I realized I was safe. The front door was left wide open, swinging in the breeze, grim evidence that this nightmare had been real. The intruder was gone, but what the police discovered explained everything. In the attic crawl space above my hallway, they found a small blanket, empty food wrappers, and a bottle of water. It looked like someone had been living up there for some time. Part of the air vent had been tampered with, giving them a hidden vantage point to watch me. The thought that this person had been watching me from above, perhaps even creeping down at night while I slept, made my skin crawl. I didn't wait to learn more. As soon as I could, I packed a few belongings and left that house for good. I moved in with Lily for a while, and eventually I found a new apartment across town with better security. The police never did find the person who invaded my home. Whoever it was had vanished into the night. It's been a few months now, and I still get nightmares about those footsteps outside my bedroom door. I wake up at the slightest noise, heart pounding, expecting to see a shadow in my room. I'm not sure if I'll ever feel completely secure again. I share this story as a warning. Trust your instincts. If something feels off, a door slightly open, a misplaced item, a bump in the night, don't ignore it. Take precautions. Because the scariest thing I learned is that sometimes the noises we hear at night aren't just the house settling. Sometimes you're truly not alone.